This is ruining my hair. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pitch and Invest stage at Reset Connect 2025. This morning, we're going to be hearing from some incredible startups that'll be pitching us their ideas and presenting to our amazing panel of investors. We're going to have a bit of time to give feedback and help the startups grow, and then there'll be a moment at the end of the pitch session where the judges will decide amongst themselves who goes through. At the end of the day, I think we're on around 3 p.m., 2:30, 3 p.m. There'll be the grand finale where the winners from these pitches throughout the day go on to pitch at the end, and they have a chance to get flown to the States where they get to pitch at the Startup World Cup. Very exciting. So, I'm Veli. I'm the founder and CEO of Kind Community and Purposeful Profits. We exist to scale kind companies. We help them build thriving, engaged, loyal communities online and offline. We also run an accelerator program where we fast-track the growth of sustainable startups. To my right, I have Natalia, Em, and Zoe. Could each of you give a brief introduction? And yeah, I'll leave you to it. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Who wants to go first?
Is this working?
It's working.
This is
so weird.
Weird.
I feel like Britney Spears on stage.
I wish. I'm Em. I'm the co-founder of Hotbed. We're a virtual accelerator, and we work with early stage startups all around the world. We've worked with about 700 companies across 40 different countries, all at pre-seed and seed stage. We've recently had a massive influx of companies building in the circular fashion space, as well as building new textiles. So really excited to hear about the innovation in the space and what people are working on today.
Hello, I'm Natalia. I'm an investor at Volta Circle. We are an early stage fund focused exclusively on the circular economy. So we invest across the full value chain, so from industrial folk tech like recycling technologies all the way to re-commerce consumer business models like Vestiaire Collective. We are also backed by the leading global recyclers in PET, Indorama Ventures, and yeah, we invest seed Series A as a focus.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to be here. I'm Zoe Chrysostom from Plug and Play. We're a venture capital firm on one end, but we're also an innovation consulting firm on the other. So on the venture capital side, we invest in pre-seed, seed, and Series A. We invest a lot in software, but we do also invest in new materials. Actually, our DNA is really focused on supporting brand and retail technologies. So we also invest along the value chain of fashion, beauty, retail, from logistics to circular economy to optimized manufacturing. And what makes us a little bit different is that we help our portfolio companies be connected to our corporate clients around the world.
Fantastic work. What an amazing judging panel today. So the setup for today is that each startup gets 4 minutes, 4 minutes hard. We will have to cut you off. And then the judges get 3 minutes, so roughly a minute each to ask questions. First up, we have Vichy from Have It Sussed.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me? Thank you. I do agree, this is a bit confusing. So I'm going to take this off if that's okay, and then I'll come back to you in a second. Perfect. My name is Vichy. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Have It Sussed. What is Habitsust? So we're an e-commerce platform that allows for sustainable brands to be verified. So conscious buyers have a platform to research sustainable brands, small to medium-sized, within Europe as a pilot. We focus on a few areas that matter to consumers from a community survey that we held: people, planet, animal, circularity, and transparency. Now, I want to start with the hidden cost of fast fashion. We are all aware that this is a rising problem, but annually there's 92 million tons of textile waste generated, 1 in 5 garments linked to forced labor, and 60% of clothing discarded within the first year of being produced. The market size is growing rapidly with a CAGR of 6.5%. And we hope to operate and pilot within the DACH and Nordics region. So our serviceable, obtainable market will be around 50 million from now to 2027. 2 critical needs, 1 shared solution. So what do consumers want? They want to shop sustainably, but they face a lot of greenwashing, mistrust, high prices, and lack of clarity. And brands want to prove their impact, especially with the Digital Product Passport and CSRD regulations on their way from now to 2030. This provides us with 2 audiences, but a similar solution for either one. For consumers, we provide a platform where they're able to research and buy clothes directly that are sustainable and linked to their values on the go. And for brands, we allow them to have a platform to increase their e-commerce presence, especially the small to medium-sized ones within Europe that don't have the marketing spend to be on the Google search platform when you search sustainable fashion in Europe. And we also give them a concrete level of insights through our vigorous rubric system that we've built in-house as well. So the customer value proposition, we've got 3 portals. We've got the brand management portal, we've got the web platform, and we've also got a consumer app where consumers can shop on the go. We pride ourselves on sustainability in the model that we've built. So this is our in-house sustainability company score and sustainability tag that we've built for each brand that we've already started partnering with. What does that mean? We have a brand score. So each brand gets a score based on the 5 metrics they're given: people, planet, animal, transparency, and circularity. There's a product level evaluation that we do with a textile mix modeling. So we're able to understand what exact material goes into different products. So we're able to calculate metrics like cost per wear, duration in your wardrobe, how to look after your product better. And we also have a customer score so that consumers are able to review the sustainability and the durability of the products that they purchase. And I'm a founder here, so I'm very passionate about this project, but we went from ideation to prototype in just 8 weeks. We started the idea in January, and we were live testing it by March. Sorry. Perfect. Impact is also very core to what we do. Within the first year, we're hoping to onboard 10,000 consumers, and from a textile waste reduce standpoint, we're hoping to reduce 150 metric tons per year. From a CO2 emission standpoint, we hope to avoid 760 metric tons a year as well from this mindset shift for consumers from the fast fashion adoption that currently is ramping to a slow, more conscious way of living and consuming. This is why we're the right team to make this happen as well. We've got a mix of female talent here. I'm the CEO. I have a product and AI background. I come from a computer science and data engineering background. Maria here is my co-founder. She's very into research and insight. We've got Charlotte, who leads sustainability, Coyle, that leads product, Francesca, social media marketing, Carolina over there, who does business development and brand partnership, and Shreya in finance and legal. We also have an offshore team of 12 engineers in India who are helping make this product live every single day. We've also turned heads of our champions. This is our advisory board, CCO of Style DNA, ex-head of sustainability at Bershka, and Smitha, who's our finance and investment lead. We all have competitors. We've got 3, and this is why we're different. We've got our own in-house sustainability rubric that we built. We have an AI script that we run through each and every product and brand. And we also have an in-house app, e-commerce app that allows consumers to shop on the go. We operate a B2C model, B2B2C model. This is our revenue model. We have 2 ways of making money: brand subscription and affiliate-driven conversions. And this is what we're raising: 650K pre-seed and pre-revenue. So open to questions, and thank you so much.
I can start maybe. Thank you so much for the dynamic pitch. And good job for bringing these type of advisors and already having prototype and everything going on here. Definitely, I understand the pain point. I think that it's quite hard to get the right type of information that we trust about fashion brands on their environmental impact. My first question will be around the scoring. How does it work? How do you collect the data? Who came up with it? How are you going to build credibility around it? How is it different? Is it different from other platforms? Like, would just love to know how it works.
Great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So I think we pride ourselves on a two-layer verification system. So what that entails is we've created an AI script that is proprietary to Have It Sussed, which means brands are able to data dump all of their ESG reports, PETA certifications, everything in one platform. We then analyze it through the list of 100 questions that we've created, which are in line with the DPP and CSRD regulations that are going to come out from now to 2030. So these brands are also in line with the regulations and compliance control. And then we go through, it's not just enough for us to know, okay, this is a data scraping algorithm, we know what you've said, but we want them to verify it. So that's when we work in a partnership model with these brands. So that can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to get the verification sorted. And because we're focusing on small to medium brands, there's normally just one point of contact, which makes it very easy for us to target that. So we hope to start small and then scale it to the bigger brands when we have more information and when we've trained the Gen AI system that we're creating. So to answer your question, we have one aspect, which is where brands can dump their data for us to analyze, and then we have a second, more thorough process where we verify everything, whether that is talking to their suppliers, manufacturers, warehouse. At the end of the day, it's also the concept of being transparent ourselves. We don't expect to be perfect from our V1. This is going to have so many iterations, and it's going to be a growing curve from now to 2030. But we're also going to be very transparent with our consumers about how exactly we measure, and to say this is what we're trying to do for 2027, 2028, 2029. And the more data we get, the easier it is also for us to train the model, and the better the output would be. So I hope that answers your question.
Well done. As I mentioned when I stopped by your stand yesterday, super impressive what you've built in a really short period of time.
Thank you.
2 questions for you. One, can you expand a bit more on your business model? And then my second question is, one of the social apps that I've been seeing everywhere is Fia, which I think is more focused in the US, but it's like a shopping app, probably targeting a similar customer demographic. And I'm just curious how you'd view that as a competitor, and whether these other shopping platforms, you think there's a risk of them adding on a like sustainability feature when customers are filtering through products.
Of course. No, that's a very valid question. So to answer your first question, we don't want to charge the consumers anything at the start. This will be a free platform because we think that sustainability should be accessible to all. In terms of the revenue model with the businesses, we have 2 options. So we've got the brand subscription model, where we range anywhere from €100 to €300 per month for brand. And that means they get access to the portal, they get increased e-commerce, they get brand marketing, PR, all the benefits as well of partnering with Have It Sussed. The main thing that they get is the regulatory control and the verification that we provide as an advisory service. And then we also have an affiliate-driven conversion, which means for every sale made on our platform, we get 10% commission. So the industry average in fashion tech is anywhere from 8 to 15%. But because we're working with smaller brands, we don't want to move to the luxury end of things. So this is our two models in terms of how we generate revenue. In the future, we're hoping to also add on advertisements and paid social media, paid SEO optimization, etc. In terms of our differentiating factor, to your next question, that's always a risk for us to be in a space where our competitors can create their own rubric and their own platform. But right now, what's predominant is that they have an AI data scraping algorithm. So they just see what's there on the internet, and they're able to repurpose it in a rubric format and to score brands. However, we take that extra level of care when it comes to the verification aspect. And because we're partnering with B Corp, and because we're talking every single day to the different Inditex ways of measurement, we are able to hopefully refine the model and stay ahead of the curve every single time that one of our competitors might try and. Which is great for the planet. I mean, the more people that do this, it's actually beneficial. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Super helpful and such an interesting model. I would love to hear a little more about the decision to be point of sale as opposed to partnering with the brands and marketplaces that you're supposedly competing with, and just sort of providing them with that rubric or access to the data that you're collecting from the brand. So why is it that you feel that actually being the point of sale directly is sort of the approach that you went for in the business model?
That's a very good question. I mean, initially we were looking just B2C or just B2B. And I think the point of impact comes from the consumer. At least personally, I feel they're the ones that have the purchasing decision, and they're the ones that buy clothes, whether that's first-hand, thrifted, rented. So as much as we would love to partner with brands to help them stay ahead of the curve, we also want to help consumers understand their point of impact so that we're able to actually make sustainability accessible to the consumers at the end point of the user journey. It's not just maybe for us about the brands, it's also about the 150 metric tons of textile waste that we're able to impact and help support and influence from a consumer purchasing behavior standpoint. So I think that's where that decision was really tricky. It was. I would love to talk. I can talk for hours on that. But that decision was tricky. But this is where we feel we have the most impact as a brand, to also be consumer facing.
Do we have time?
We're out of time for questions. Quick feedback. I'm not sure if I missed it. I really wanted to see like your personal story come through. Like why you guys into this, and why is this important to you personally in this? Just get the emotion and the feeling out of it to buy these guys in versus the specs and the stats and the feature and everything. Other than that, I thought it was an incredible pitch. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your questions.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
There we have it. Have it sussed. Just going to set the next one up. So, perfect. Okay. Next up, we have Tanya from Question Zero. Round of applause.
Thank you, and I will do the same as the previous speaker did. Sorry, I was like, my name is Tanya Larsen. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Question Zero. And Question Zero is a sustainability benchmarking platform for consumer goods. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and this project came partially from experience, partially from the gift of crossover between finance and affiliate marketing understanding. And of course, the guilt of flogging everything for so many years, right? So what we realized that it's too much talk and not enough action, and temperature keeps rising. So we are focusing on addressing the paramount question of sustainability: people, profit, and planet balance, where the money come in. Of course, from the experience, again, 20 years in e-commerce, we realize how quickly consumers can react. But the problem that consumers are facing right now is they want to make wise choices, and it's proven by many reports and so on, but they don't know enough information to make the right choices. Oi. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Can I get extra? I don't know what's happened to it. Ah, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, the problem creates an opportunity. Research shows that lots of consumers want to know information, and they're willing to pay more money for that. This is how we came up with the Question Zero sustainability score. The data we buy, licensed data from financial organizations. It positions brand within the own industry and also across actual retail. We display, again, the scoring at the point of sale, and we give the data to the investors in those brands in a sense of consumer sentiment and the value of that brand in the long run. And this is market ready. I mean, market is huge. I won't dwell on it too much, but the numbers are good. I think where the three components come in our platform is, of course, the data-driven sustainability scores. We are not allowed to use AI, actually, for that, because AI can make up things. So we actually use hardcore licensed, very expensive data and mathematical formula behind it. Consumer outreach, we have our own app and the affiliate performance marketing platform. The brands get the scoring and the tools, widgets, and API to be able to access consumers through various different retail outlets. The amazing Generation Z, very fond of apps. So we have beautiful eco-scanner app already approved by App Store, just sitting because we're doing the scoring visuals a little bit. And this is the best bit, because 20 years in affiliate platform marketing, this is something I can tell you in the middle of the night with my eyes closed, right? But of course it looks complicated. But the journey of the brand, okay, brand, promo tools, affiliates, consumer sales. What we do, we add scoring to it, and we address what we call sustainability premium revenue gap, right? So when affiliates promote brands through our network, they can increase their CTR and increase their revenue generation because we have scoring attached as one of those fields. Well, it's complicated, but I said I built and sold 2 of those platforms already. This is my best bid. After selling 2 businesses, it becomes quite addictive. So working on selling the 3rd one. The value is, well, pretty decent. Again, this is the bottom-up calculations that as a financial person I'm quite pleased with because it coincides with the top-down calculations on the previous slides. So far I put a lot of money myself into it from previous sale. We raised 250,000 angel investments in the UK. We have US office in San Francisco right now. Actually just signed off some finances from US yesterday, but because I live in UK, it's the last chance for UK investors to jump on board and be part of the big picture. It's our team. I guess as a company, we are United Nations Global Compact participant. I have a co-founder based in San Francisco as well. He sold business last year. I sold a couple of businesses over the last few years. Our difference is that we have finance and online retail professionals combined. So I think it differentiates us from other providers because quite often those 2 industries don't talk between themselves. Very lucky to have former Moody's ESG solution managing director of our advisor, also crowdfunding people, and Dan was selling my previous business with myself, so he really knows how to position it all. So at the end of the day, yes, it's all about the money, but because I was not born in this country and when I was growing up, I've seen things that nobody really should see. So my passion is to use the money to the best of the planet effectively and help brands who are good for the planet to also make more money out of it.
Can you hear me okay? I think this is working. Firstly, well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
One bit of feedback first was 2 really, really impressive things that came up in your pitch or things that I wanted to hear more about that you kind of glossed over was 1, your background as a serial founder. I'd love to hear more about the companies that you previously built. And then I also saw on the slide that you had, was it 12K MRR? So I'd love to hear more about the traction. I think even if you could wind that in to like the first 30 seconds of your pitch, drop that you're a serial founder, drop that you're 12K MRR, I think investors' ears will perk up when they hear that because this is a really concentrated space. I know a lot of companies building in this sector, so that will just make you stand out as a founder. And then on that note, I'd also like to hear more about how you're different from your competitors. I know you mentioned how you blend the financial component and the sustainability, but if you could expand on that, that'd be great.
In terms of my background, I'm originally from Ukraine, but I came here 23 years ago. And I grew up in a coal mine area of Ukraine, right? When you figuring out how to wash your hands and feet at the end of the day because they look as the color of potato, I guess. So, so my aspirations were always to earn money first because money gives you freedom to do other things. And when I came here, I worked for IT company in here initially, and then it deviated of me getting equity in there, selling that business, and then launching completely my own business. It's called Tyke Technologies. It was based in Switzerland, actually. We had few different e-commerce platforms, but in a funny way, the most successful one at the time was online dating platform. But it was a white label, so we didn't have our own sites, but we provided the front end bunch of tools and whatever for about 30,000 websites to run on our platform, but also whole affiliate management. We have like lots of partners and payments. So all of that worked really well. Sold it in cash. Everybody was very happy. Took a couple of years off and traveled the world, did Amazon travel, and it kind of cemented my understanding that it's always what I wanted to do. Came back to e-commerce, launched voucher sites, and ran into the problem we could not classify brands as sustainable brands at all. And this is how we got talking to S&P Global and Dun & Bradstreet and got data for us. In terms of traction, yes, we use a couple of voucher sites are using us as the pilot right now. One website in US, they're kind of sort of charity, but they do their, well, a non-profit really, but they're doing their own merchandise as well. So we are testing our visualization of blob, how we call, because scoring has to be in the right kind of way positioned. Yeah, so it's great, and hence we got good traction in US because in a funny way, sustainability scoring helps people to be activists. And not everybody voted for Trump in a sense, sorry about that. But it gives people tool to express themselves. And it's why we got interest from US investors as well. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Oh, here we go. So thank you so much. So interesting to hear more about your background as well. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm just wondering if there's like a sort of what the target consumer product or go-to-market strategy on that category of consumer that you're looking for.
Well, because we launched at the back of voucher sites, we already connected to over 6,000 brands. So, like the natural verticals are fashion, beauty, children products, and things like household items, like sort of bathing and whatever things are touching you when you're sitting on the sofa. So it's where people are more interested in looking at it. But generally speaking, because our data license is global and unlimited, so we can do anything, but just like comes to marketing efforts, I guess.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm aligned with the feedback that was already shared. Maybe one last question would be like, how are you getting consumers on your app? Because it's quite hard now to download a new app and spend time on it. So, and you must know that. So, how do you get people on the app?
Well, the beauty of it is that we actually license the app front end kind of running thing to the US-based business who are really, well, they're called IceWeb. They're like a big marketing company. So because we are kind of B2B, so our task is to design app. We have really good app designer who works in gaming industry as well. So it's a lot of dopamine involved in all of that. But technically, this big marketing company is helping us to acquire users. Because, well, otherwise, yeah, I agree with you. You need to be an expert in it. But so far, we got app approved on App Store, and again, it's not exactly our main target kind of revenue generation, but it helps when you talk to brands. It helps to show them that this is how actual users can use it, and also Gen Z is the most, I guess, clued up on sustainability right now. So because the app looks quite funky, we're just hoping for the best. Yeah.
I know it's early days, but could you tell me a bit more about like customer retention? Like how long are people using it? How long are they staying on the app? Are they utilizing it to what you anticipated? What lessons have you learned in this short period of time on the app?
Yeah, the app is not live yet. It's approved by the App Store, but we pulled it off because we had to redo the scoring because it was 5-star scorings initially, and people who work in e-commerce, obviously after the trials, we realized that it was clashing with the consumer feedback score, when people do 5 stars. So it's why we literally pulled it off temporarily, and we are redoing the visual of our kind of visuals for it to sort of relaunch it again because we don't want confusion in this kind of area.
Okay, so help me understand then, like how would I use it? Let's say I wanted to use it from today, it was live, I was able to use it. At what point do customers interact with your tech?
Well, it has 2 standard features if you think about Yuka. pretty much follow the same path. There is a barcode scanning option in it, and there is a normal search option in it. But there is a big input on the community engagement and the competition between the users. And we have all this, best users and whatever. It's where the gamification comes in. So there are engagement parts that I'm absolutely have no clue. I'm not Generation Z, but I have 3 teenager children. I ask their opinion on it. So it's, as a consumer, you can download it, search whatever you buy online through the app if you want to, or scan the barcode and see the scoring of the product, and it links to the voucher codes and coupons because sustainability is expensive. So at the same time, we negotiate deals with consumer brands for exclusive discounts and whatever to give a bit of a easier entry for sustainable brands.
If I may follow up on that, I think that's obviously there's like the scoring behind the partnerships with the brands, etc. But I feel like the way that you're going to have to attract and consumers is a big marketing play here. So actually I would have loved to understand a bit how you're going to make that brand really strong. What are the type of partners that are going to elevate this application, this brand that you're creating, so that once a user wants to access this type of app, you're the first one that comes to their mind because it just pops in their head. And I don't have like the visibility of other competitors on the market, but it would be interesting maybe also to know how they're doing on the brand marketing side. But yeah, that would be like my main feedback. Obviously, it's just one piece of it, but it's a really important piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I said that we are focusing on B2B in the scoring ourselves as a business platform, and we provided solution for the app, the technology of it, and we are hoping that our US partners, we know that our US partners can actually focus on promoting the app.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's all we have time for right now, Tanya. Thank you again. Question 0. Try to keep it on. Try to keep it on.
Ah, yes. I'm the one because I can hear touches.
I think it's just
Okay.
this and this and this. It's just not us. It's we're collecting headphones up here. Fantastic. So, up next is Richard from Quolus.
Great, thanks, Kana. Hi, everyone. Just before I get started, we're very much in the leather sector, so I just thought I'd pass around a couple of samples from some of our customers. If you could, while I'm talking, thanks very much. So, we're on a journey here on leather. Perhaps a bit of context on that first. As many of you will know in the fashion sector, there's a lot of change coming, a lot of change going to be forced on us all as consumers to get away from plastic-based, waste-creating, no durability products towards products that last for a long time, are biodegradable, and ultimately have a much lower environmental footprint, carbon, but also water and other resources. And that's really the space we're in. We love leather. We love when leather's done well, it can be great. And so that's really what our technology is about. So just to headline what it is we do, so we enable tanneries to make leather with much less resource, specifically water and chemicals, but also the energy and the carbon and the time it takes to make leather. Leather itself is probably the original upcycle material. There's about 20 million tons of hides every year being created by the meat industry. Around 13 million tons of that is taken and converted into leather. But the tanning process is an old industry, not been a lot of innovation, and there are great actors there today, but there are also others with issues around water use, chemical use, and as an industry, they're looking for solutions to meet that challenge that I was describing earlier that's happening to the industry. So we've got a really fantastic innovation. Some years ago, our team pumped with this idea while they were with another business, and we've spun out into Qualys. I became a small seed shareholder about 5 years ago myself, and then joined the team about 3 years ago. So I'm the CFO, but my background's in engineering, so I know enough about the technical side to be dangerous at least. I won't go into too much into the technology, but the core of what we do is we replace about 40 or 50% of the process water with small beads. The beads have about a 10-year lifespan and are recyclable at the end. So we're reusing that same products again and again. And the way it works is that by adding what we call these spheres into the process and reducing the water and the chemicals, that mixture of less water plus the spheres is much more efficient at mixing the chemistry over the surface of the hides. And so the diffusion of that chemistry into the leather is just much, much more efficient than just using water on its own. So there's more to it than that, but that's basically the core of what it is. And then, anyway, for the tannery, they don't really care about that. What they would care about is the result. It's the same leather coming out of the process, but they're using about 30 to 40%, sometimes even 50% less water, 15 to 20% less chemicals. The chemicals are normally the number one or number two cost of goods. So that is a really, really material change and that's really the commercial basis of the proposition. The water, obviously, is fantastic environmental saving and really important in some places where leather is made because certain times of the year they're having to bring in water by trucks. It's faster, there's much less wastewater, there's less energy being used for treating that. In terms of our business model, there are some installation fees at the start that we don't really make any money on, but that's really about getting the system installed. The way our core revenue works is that we're charging our customers, we're really renting the system out. It's a monthly subscription based more or less on the number of tons of leather that they're making every month. And that's about a 6-month return on investment for our customers. So where are we? So it's still early days. We've got 8 customers around the world, 4 in India, 2 in Mexico, 1 in Brazil, and then 1 in France. Our most recent customer is one of the Chanel tanneries in France. It's and their motivation is all about the environmental benefit. I mean, as I say, there is a cost saving, but for them the motivation is really massively around their own net zero roadmap and the water efficiency. And we're already in the supply chains of other brands. So we've got Chanel and Hermes at one end, super premium, and 2 of the articles we're passing around the room are from that tannery. And then right through to people like Portland Leather. It's a young, dynamic brand, really focused in bags and garments in the Americas, and that they're using our leather in the supply chain as well. In terms of our team, Kerry's our CEO. He joined us about 6 months ago. He's got a 30-year career in leather and more on the production and brand side. He used to work for Wolverine, was running their leather operations. They own Saucony and Merrill, some other large brands in the US. My own background is more on the sort of strategy, finance side, for following a sort of early engineering start. And then the rest of the team, Joe's got a long experience as our CEO in engineering and ops in small companies. And then importantly, our sales guys out in the markets where leather is big in Mexico, India, and then subsequently Brazil, Europe. They're from those markets and part of the ecosystem. The longer term vision for us is really to more directly connect to the brands so that it's being pulled up through the supply chain. But obviously in the short term, we have to prove out the model more directly with the tanneries. So in terms of growth, we're 2025 is a big year for us. We're getting really well established in India and Mexico. We're at about 25K a month in terms of that subscription revenue right now. And we should be at about 80,000 a month, which is about $1 million a year by the end of this year. And then going into next year, 2026 is really about then getting established in Brazil, which is the next key big market along with Italy. And then at some time eventually we'll partner to go into China and some of the other smaller tier 2 markets. And in terms of really accelerating the growth, we're partnering with some of the other technical players who make equipment for the tanneries, people who do the drums and water recirculation systems and so on, to really better integrate our system into the whole system of the tannery rather than being a standalone retrofit system, which is today. In terms of our ask, we're just at the tail end of a convertible loan right now. It's about 1.4 million. We've got another 400K left within that. And then end of the year, early next year, we're doing a larger raise, about 4 million. In the history, we've raised about 5.5 million up till now. And so, but this raise should take us through to sort of, once we get established in India, Mexico, and get into Italy and Brazil, we should be on good track to be a sort of cash neutral, cash positive from that point. That's us.
So interesting and sounds almost too good to be true. Incredible. Very interested on so lower cost is fantastic, and the reduced use of water and chemicals. Are the product specs exactly the same? Are we talking about an identical product?
Yeah, and that absolutely, and that's always the first point of incredulity with customers is, how can you start with so much less water and so much less chemicals? Because it has to be because the tannery can't sell the product if it's not the same product. So there's always an initial discussion around proving that out, and then there's quite a small trial you can do in a sort of 50 kilogram drum. You don't need to even do a big production run just to prove that it works. And there's generally a sort of stand back moment when they see, wow, it really does work. And then it's really about how do you integrate it into the production system, and that's the more complex question.
Yeah. So and then in that case, what is the usage you're looking at? Like with the customers you do have, how have you seen that increase? How much are they using it? Are they, and also I guess relatedly, could you speak a bit more to the complication of the equipment that has to be installed? Is that sort of what the biggest barrier is, and how long does that take? What's the cycle time?
Yes, to give you a feel for it. So right now we're mostly working with small to medium-sized tanneries rather than the giant ones, and there's a classic sort of SME to enterprise transition there. So as I was describing, if you imagine, leather's made in big drums that's tumbling around for 10 to 20 hours. So at the start of the process, we're adding, for every ton of leather they might have in the drum, and in many drums it is only 1 ton, we're adding about 500, 600, 700 kilograms of these little spheres. And so the equipment we're adding is really about how to store and position those in the factory to get them into the drum, and then very critically, when you empty the drum, to make sure everything is contained and guided so you don't end up with these little spheres all over the floor of the factory. So it's really about, because to do that consistent volume day after day after day, there's a learning process, because the layout, even though the drums are all fairly similar, there's the layout of all the tanneries is a bit different, and so that's part of the learning journey we're on, is to learn how to optimize that sort of rollout. And a typical tannery might have between 6 and 10 drums, let's say, as an SME. A big factory would maybe have 60, all identical. The smaller ones are 5 or 6, but slightly different ages, maybe different construction. And so we're on that learning curve of understanding just the different sort of nuances of doing it in the different markets. So normally they'd start off with doing a couple of the drums just to learn the process, and then steadily roll out onto the others once they get comfortable with the manufacturing side and the on-site logistics, rather than, as I say, quite quickly they understand the core technology works really well. It's then about productionizing it day to day in the factory.
I've obviously seen your pitch before when you joined one of our events over the fall. Well done. 2 points of feedback, and then I have a question. Number one, I really liked how you touched on the fact that now so many of the fabrics and materials that are used that are deemed sustainable or vegan have harsh chemicals infused. They're plastic based, and so leather, even though it's not vegan, which isn't super popular, is very sustainable in many ways. And then the other point of feedback I had was that I might suggest that you include a really tangible example in the first 20 to 30 seconds of the pitch. So something like, our product helps tanneries that are spending X, Y, and Z on chemicals and water reduce it to A, B, and C, because I think it just took some time. Again, I had the advantage of knowing it from before, but it just takes some time to work out exactly what it is that you offer. My question is, in terms of the sales cycle, can you talk a little bit about what's your approach? Who do you contact within the company? How long is that sales cycle? You mentioned that you will come in working with a few drums and then, I don't know all the lingo, working with a few drums and then scaling up from there, but can you talk about how long that process is, average contract, things like that?
Yeah, and it does vary a bit. So we, the tanneries tend to be in geographic clusters. So going back to India and Mexico, which are 2 key examples right now, we've got a small service center based near Chennai, India, and so there are many, there are probably 100 tanneries in that area, and so we've got a small team who are doing sort of direct outreach, really. And it's quite a, it's a small, these are traditional industries, been there forever. Some of the guys have been in the same factory for 20 or 30, maybe even longer years. And so there's a lot of direct, sort of marketing. For those companies, you're quite quickly. I mean, you might initially engage with either with the technical team or with the owner, and sometimes, but in order to get the sale over the line, you need to convince all the people that the finances work and the payback is good, and they're sure the product is going to be robust, and the technical guys and the operation guys like it. So there is a conversion time, and sometimes that's quite quick. It's a matter of a month or two. We've had cases where it might be 6 or 9 months. And then with Chanel, actually the technical proof there was quite quick, but then there was a big internal decision making to do with their own net zero roadmap definition, and there was a 9-month hiatus where literally nothing happened, and then they called up one day to say, right, let's go. So there's no real one answer, but in terms of our journey going forward, that's certainly an area for focus in terms of speeding it up, because we're not going to reach the curve I'm describing there if we go through the same process as our first 2 or 3 customers in terms of the time it took. So that's certainly an area for focus in terms of creating more awareness, and so more trust in the market, and also just having more of our people to have those touch points in a more systematic way. That's definitely been a process improvement internally for us.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I'd actually be curious to understand a little bit more about competitors or alternative solutions, and how you do versus them. The main questions were asked, actually, but I was curious on when were you founded again? How are you going to reach that 1 million at the end of the year? And totally agree on, would have been great to spend a bit more time on what actually you're offering. So I'm aligned with that feedback.
Sure. No, thanks. So the company was founded in 2019. It was a spin out from a group that was doing a similar sort of thing, but more in the textile space. And I guess the issue that parent company had before was there's not the same degree of chemical savings in textiles. There was a big water saving, but for leather, the commercial payback is really driven by the chemicals. And so that's why it's worked well here. Of course, the spin-out happened, they did an initial seed round, and then slammed straight into COVID. All the tanneries shut down. So thankfully, the team, that was before my time of joining full-time, but the team got an Innovate UK grant, and were able to, they shrunk down, but actually got some great stuff done on the technology we use to sort of, clean the spheres between each use. And so there's a much smaller, more compact, more efficient sort of cleaning technology that we deploy either in our own service centre or on site with the different customers. And in terms of the scaling, most of that's coming from India and Mexico with either it's a combination of existing customers that are completing that rollout from the initial drums to the full site, or most of the full site, and then there are some others that are coming on board, especially in Mexico, that are just bigger tanneries with large volume, and some of those are already through the technical proof, and it's really about designing the initial rollout and then scale up from there. So there's a good pipeline in both those countries. As I say, Europe, the growth in Brazil and Europe is the next stage beyond that.
Thank you so much, Richard, from Qualis. Round of applause. So now you have the very difficult time of deciding who's going through to the next round. We'll give you a few minutes to confer and discuss, compare notes. I'll leave you guys to it. I'll try and keep these guys entertained for the next couple of minutes. But just to recap, with a brilliant bunch of pitches just there, and let the judges to decide on who goes through. But overall, brilliant pitches. Feedback was well received. If I was to give a bit of feedback for each of them, it was try to communicate the story, the feelings behind the why, the business. We often make decisions through emotions first, and then validate, back it back up with the statistics and the hard numbers, even investors. A couple of you want to bring forward your traction, so try to showcase what you've achieved earlier on, that essentially hooks the investors in sooner. So they go, why would I sit here and listen to this for the rest of the time, apart from if they're forced to, like they are up here. But let's say you're pitching, hook us in early on, tell us why we should be involved, and also what have you done in terms of proof early on, so we then want to know why we can continue to read through. This was the FMCG, retail and fashion pitch. Next up, we have food and agri-tech, and throughout the day, we have a number of more pitches. The final is later on today on the main stage. I keep looking that way because I think it's that way. And we'll be finding out and hearing from the winners of yesterday's and today's pitch sessions. And the winner of that will go on to the Startup World Cup in the States and have an opportunity to pitch for, I think it's $1 million in investment, which is a decent number. How long do you need? Each of you give you feedback and then quick one, why, or do you just want to dive straight in? Go straight in. See? No, collective one winner. Have you got it? Perfect. It's a tough decision. We got there in the end. So we're just going to give a very brief, quick feedback. What do we like about each startup? Then we're going to announce the winner.
All
right. So first of all, thanks a lot for all of you. Diverse type of businesses. Some that I and all of us were not aware of. So it's always interesting to discover new businesses, new solutions. So if we go one by one, on Have It Sussed, overall, great pitch, and great to see the existing traction in such a short time. Visuals also show that you know what you have in mind. I think that the overall feedback is that it's a very competitive market and very hard to, get customers on a new platform. And do you want to maybe give each of you a feedback on every businesses?
Yeah, very similar feedback from me. Competitive market, but well done with what you've done so far. Incredibly impressive. Branding's great. Also, just personally as a founder presenting on stage, fantastic presentation skills. Very impressive, and looking forward to see what you've done in another few months.
Same here. I'll keep it very short. Loved the presentation. Loved the offering. I think it's I love that you're going after the highest point of impact in such a difficult industry. And then I'll jump straight into the next one. Love the offering. Love the sort of the founder background really comes through. The ability to really target the niche and go after the, I think, exit strategy is something I really appreciate as an investor seeing in the deck.
Yes. Similarly, I really enjoyed hearing your founder journey and how you came to wanting to solve this problem. I would have, after the pitch and the Q&A, I still had some questions around what exactly the business model was, the path to market, how you were planning to expand, and I would have liked to had a firm understanding on those questions. But again, like your passion and your founder story was so captivating and the traction was fantastic. So I'd love to see that highlighted more and earlier in the pitch.
Quite a line, keep it short as well. I'll just repeat the same feedback that I gave early on. Would have loved to see a little bit more around that B2C angle strategy. I know you're working with a partner for that, but still very important information from an investor point of view. And then what was the name of the other one?
Yes.
Okay, we'll announce who we chose, which was Coyle. And I guess we'll give feedback. Round of applause. Well done. Really impressed with what you've done so far, the impact you have. honestly, I could just keep it at those two things. It's pretty straightforward, very impressive.
Yeah, sorry about the confusion. I thought there was another one before that. Congratulations. I think that on my end, I'm really curious also to hear more about the product and the solution. So that was also kind of the reason why I made that decision. And congratulations on the quality of the pitch as well, and already the good traction. It shows that there's a need. It shows that you're performing well. So yeah, very curious to actually meet afterwards.
Echoing, love it. Love the fact that it's low cost, high performance, and the fact that you're hopefully reaching the 80K a month by end of year is very impressive. Yeah, would love to have a follow-up conversation. Congratulations.
Sorry, I forgot to add. Also really impressed with the brands that you've managed to land. Like, those are not easy customers to close, and having Chanel and Hermes as an early stage company is fantastic. So well done.
Perfect. Well done, Richard from Coyle. Thank you so much for today. Appreciate it. I think one of the lessons I learned from one of Richard's pitch at the end was he went into show, not tell. So he actually, at the beginning, he was like, here, come and feel the leather, the quality, and we kind of bought into the end, the outcome of the product, of what he was actually producing. So I felt that was a great lesson for all of us to perhaps adopt, show, don't tell. But thank you again for Richard and Coyle. That was the end of our retail, FMCG, and fashion pitch event. Thank you to our amazing judges. We'd love to grab some time with you after this, but I'm staying on the stage because we've got food and agri-tech next. Can we give a round of applause to our amazing judges? Thank you. Thank you, guys.